The Silk Road, A Journey Through Time Part 8. Rediscovery and Echoes in the Modern World. The Silk Road slept in sands for centuries, its cities buried, its stories fading into myth and legend. But in the 19th century, as European colonial powers expanded into Central Asia, archaeologists and explorers began rediscovering its remnants. The Hungarian-British explorer Aurel Stein conducted 4 expeditions to Central Asia between 1900 and 1930, uncovering ancient manuscripts, Buddhist art, and the remains of forgotten cities in the Taklamakan Desert. In the Mogao Caves near Dunhuang, he discovered the Library Cave, a hidden chamber sealed around 1000 CE that contained over 40,000 manuscripts and printed documents. These texts, preserved by the dry desert air, included the world's oldest dated printed book, the Diamond Sutra from 868 CE, along with documents in a dozen languages. This single discovery revolutionized our understanding of Silk Road culture, revealing the rich multilingual, multicultural civilization that had flourished in these desert oases. Another remarkable explorer, the Swedish geographer Sven Hedin, made multiple expeditions into Central Asia between 1893 and 1935, mapping regions that had been blank spaces on European maps. Hedin rediscovered the ancient city of Lulan, abandoned since the 4th century CE, when the wandering Lappner Lake shifted course, cutting off the city's water supply. The dry conditions had preserved everything with uncanny fidelity. Mummies with intact clothing and hairstyles, documents written on wood and paper, even food remains. These mummies showed remarkable ethnic diversity, with some displaying European features, evidence of the extensive mixing of populations along the trade routes. DNA analysis conducted decades later would confirm that ancient Silk Road populations were among the most genetically diverse in the pre-modern world. The 20th century brought renewed appreciation for Silk Road art and its influence on world culture. The distinctive style known as Greco-Buddhist art, which emerged in the ancient kingdom of Gandhara, roughly modern-day Afghanistan and Pakistan, represented one of the most striking cultural syntheses the Silk Road produced. Here, Greek artistic traditions introduced by Alexander the Great's conquests merged with Buddhist religious imagery, creating the first anthropomorphic representations of the Buddha. Earlier Buddhist art had represented the Buddha symbolically, through footprints, an empty throne, or the Bodhi tree, but Gandharan artists gave him human form, modeling the drapery of his robes on Greek sculpture. This artistic innovation then traveled eastward with Buddhism, influencing all subsequent Buddhist art in China, Korea, and Japan. When you see a Buddha statue anywhere in the world today, you're looking at an artistic tradition born from the meeting of Greek and Indian cultures along the Silk Road. The concept of Silk Road cuisine has emerged in recent decades as chefs and food historians recognize the profound culinary exchanges that occurred along these routes. Consider the samosa, that triangular filled pastry beloved across South Asia. Its origins trace back to the Middle Eastern samosas, which traveled to India along Silk Road trade routes. The dumpling family shows even more remarkable diversity. Chinese jiaozi, Mongolian buz, Tibetan momo, Turkish mantai, and even Italian ravioli may all share common ancestors in Central Asian filled dough pockets that spread in multiple directions. The tandoor oven, used from Turkey to India to Western China, represents another shared culinary technology. Even tea, that quintessentially Chinese beverage, traveled the Silk Road to become chai in India and Persian chai, eventually reaching Europe. Every time we drink tea with milk and sugar, we're participating in a tradition born from Silk Road cultural exchange. Modern genetic studies have revealed fascinating insights into Silk Road population movements and mixing. Research on contemporary Central Asian populations shows genetic markers from East Asian, European, Middle Eastern, and South Asian sources, confirming that these regions were crossroads where different peoples met, traded, and intermarried. Some Uyghur populations in Western China show roughly equal genetic contributions from East Asian and European ancestries, the biological legacy of thousands of years as Silk Road intermediaries. Genetic studies of ancient remains have revealed that this mixing occurred continuously throughout the Silk Road's history. It wasn't a single event, but an ongoing process. The revival of interest in the Silk Road has coincided with Central Asian nations asserting their own historical narratives after the Soviet Union's collapse in 1991. Countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Kyrgyzstan have embraced their Silk Road heritage as a source of national identity and pride. Cities like Samarkand and Bokhara have restored their ancient monuments. The stunning azure domes and intricate tilework of Timurid architecture now drawing tourists from around the world. The Registan Square in Samarkand, with its 3 magnificent madrasas, has been meticulously restored. These restoration efforts represent not just preservation of physical structures, but reclamation of a cosmopolitan past. A reminder that these regions were once centers of world culture and commerce. In 2013, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure and economic development program explicitly invoking Silk Road imagery. This modern project aims to create new trade corridors connecting Asia, Europe, and Africa through both overland routes and maritime pathways. While the scale and economic implications are distinctly modern, the symbolic invocation of the Silk Road speaks to its enduring power as a metaphor for connection, exchange, and mutual prosperity. The fact that contemporary geopolitics reaches back to these ancient routes demonstrates their lasting significance in human imagination. The digital age has created what some scholars call a virtual Silk Road, networks of communication and exchange that span the globe instantaneously. Yet the fundamental pattern remains familiar: goods, ideas, and cultural practices moving across boundaries, being adapted and transformed by each culture they encounter, creating hybrid forms that belong to no single tradition. When Korean pop music becomes popular in Latin America, when Indian Bollywood films gain audiences in Africa, when Japanese anime influences American animation, we're witnessing exchanges that follow patterns established millennia ago on the Silk Road. The speed has changed, the media are different, but the human impulse to connect across cultures remains constant. The physical remnants of the Silk Road continue to yield secrets. Archaeological work proceeds in Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, and Western China, each excavation adding to our understanding. In 2014, UNESCO designated a 5,000-kilometer corridor of the Silk Road as a World Heritage Site, recognizing 33 component sites that illustrate the road's scope and influence. Climate change has accelerated some discoveries. Glaciers in the Tian Shan Mountains have retreated, revealing mountain passes and high-altitude trade routes used seasonally by ancient caravans. Each artifact recovered, each building excavated, each document translated adds another thread to our understanding of how thoroughly the Silk Road wove together the ancient world.